Nathan called screaming about my credit card being declined at Louis Vuitton. I was sitting on my trailer steps watching the sunset over Sunny Vista Mobile Home Park when my phone buzzed. The caller ID showed my son-in-law's name, and something in my gut told me this call would be different. "William, what the hell did you do?" His voice was shrill, panicked. "Your card just got declined for $3,400. I took a slow sip of my iced tea, set the glass down carefully on the aluminum step. A small smile crossed my face. "Interesting," I said quietly. "Interesting, that's all you've got? Do you know how embarrassing this was?" I did know, in fact, I was counting on it. Nathan had no idea what he just set in motion. Let me back up 18 months. That's when Nathan Mitchell married my daughter Emily, and that's when I decided to run a little experiment. See, Nathan had opinions about me from day one, strong opinions. I lived in a trailer park, drove a beat-up Honda CR-V, and wore the same Dickies work clothes every day. To Nathan, this made me a charity case, a burden, someone to be managed and, when possible, hidden. The first red flag came at their engagement dinner. Nathan pulled me aside at the restaurant and said, "Listen, William, the first appreciate that you're trying to contribute, but maybe let me handle the check, keep things appropriate." I'd offered to pay for the $200 meal. Nathan assumed I couldn't afford it. I let him pay, filed that moment away. The disrespect started small. Comments about my situation. Suggestions that I might be more comfortable staying home during family gatherings. Nathan's friends didn't need to meet everyone. He explained they might not understand my lifestyle choices. Then came the social media. Nathan fancied himself an influencer, 38,000 Instagram followers hung on his every post about success, motivation, and living your best life. His bio read, "Building generational wealth, luxury lifestyle, future-focused entrepreneur." The entrepreneur part was creative. Nathan's job was regional sales for a medical device company. Good money, but not Louis Vuitton money, not Mercedes G-Wagon money, not Manhattan Beach condo money. That's where my credit card came in. 6 months after the wedding, Nathan approached me with a proposition. Emily was stressed about finances. They needed help getting established. Could I add Nathan to one of my credit cards, just temporarily, to help with emergencies? I looked at my daughter's face. She was embarrassed, clearly uncomfortable asking. Nathan had that earnest expression he wore when he wanted something important. "What kind of emergencies?" I asked. Car repairs, medical bills, maybe some business expenses, nothing crazy." I handed him my American Express Centurion card, the one with the $127,000 limit. Nathan's eyes widened slightly when he saw the black metal card, but he didn't ask questions. Smart move, actually. Questions might have led to uncomfortable answers. What followed was 18 months of education. My education about Nathan's character, his education about how far disrespect could stretch before it snapped back. The first month, Nathan spent $600 gas, groceries, a car payment reasonable. Month 2, $1,500. Month 3, $3,200. By month 6, Nathan was averaging $4,000 a month on my card. Designer clothes, expensive dinners, weekend trips to Vegas. His Instagram transformed into a highlight reel of luxury living posts, from rooftop bars, pictures of shopping bags from Saks and Neiman Marcus, videos of him getting his G-Wagon detailed. The captions told the story, "Grateful for this blessed life, hard work pays off, living proof that mindset creates reality." His followers ate it up. Comments poured in asking for his success secrets, his investment strategies, his business tips. Nathan never mentioned where the money actually came from. But the spending was just the beginning. What really caught my attention was how Nathan talked about me. At family barbecues, he'd make jokes. "Don't worry about William, he's got simple needs, trailer park living, keeps costs down." When people asked about my work, Nathan would jump in, "Oh, William's semi-retired, doing the handyman thing, you know how it is." The handyman thing, that was rich. The jokes got meaner as the spending increased. Nathan started bringing friends to family gatherings, introducing me as Emily's dad from the trailer park. He'd pat my shoulder condescendingly and explain to his buddies how important it was to support struggling family members. "It's about giving back," he'd say. "When you're blessed with success, you help those who aren't as fortunate." My daughter tried to defend me, but Nathan always made it seem like she was being oversensitive. "Come on, babe, your dad knows. I'm kidding, we have a great relationship, right, William?" And I'd nod, smile, say absolutely nothing, because I was learning everything I needed to know. The breaking point should have been last Christmas. Nathan posted an Instagram story from our family dinner showing the spread of food on my modest trailer table. The caption read, "Keeping it real with the in-laws, blessed to be able to help family in need, grateful humble roots." The comments were predictable, "So generous of you, what a good heart, goals." But Nathan wasn't done. Later that night, after a few drinks, he cornered me in the kitchen. "You know, William, I've been thinking Emily and I are doing really well now, really well. Maybe it's time you considered upgrading your situation. I could help you find a nice little apartment, something more appropriate for family visits." He gestured around my clean, comfortable trailer with obvious distaste. "This place is fine for you, but when we have kids someday, they'll want to visit Grandpa and, well," he shrugged, "you understand." I understood perfectly. That night I made a decision. Nathan's character test was almost complete. 18 months of financial support, and this was how he saw me, not as someone choosing to live simply, but as someone who needed his charity, someone whose home wasn't good enough for his future children. I gave him one more month, 30 days, to show me something different, some hint of respect, gratitude, or basic human decency. Instead, I got the Louis Vuitton call. But before that call came, Nathan escalated one more time. He made a mistake that told me everything I needed to know about who he really was, and that's when I decided it was time for Nathan to learn exactly who I was. 3 weeks before the Louis Vuitton incident, Nathan crossed a line I didn't know existed. I was at Home Depot buying supplies for Mrs. Patterson's porch repair. She was 78, lived 2 trailers down, and her wooden steps were rotting. Seemed like the neighborly thing to do. I was loading 2x4s into my CRV when Nathan pulled up in his G-Wagon. He'd been at the mall, apparently shopping bags filled his backseat. "William, what are you doing here?" He looked genuinely surprised to see me somewhere other than the trailer park, picking up lumber for a neighbor. Nathan glanced at the modest pile of wood, then at my beat-up car. His expression shifted to something between pity and embarrassment. "You know, if you need extra income, one might be able to help. My company's always looking for part-time maintenance guys, nothing fancy, but it's honest work." I kept loading lumber. "Appreciate the thought. I'm serious. I could put in a good word, explain your situation. They're pretty understanding about hiring older workers who need flexible schedules." That was the moment right there in the Home Depot parking lot. Nathan revealed exactly how he saw me, not as his wife's father, not as someone who'd been supporting his lifestyle for 18 months, but as a charity case who might be worthy of a maintenance job if Nathan vouched for him. I finished loading the wood, closed my trunk, looked at Nathan standing next to his G-Wagon holding shopping bags that cost more than most people's monthly rent. "That's very thoughtful," I said quietly. Nathan beamed. "Hey, we're family, we look out for each other." 2 weeks later, Nathan posted an Instagram video from inside his car. He was pumped up, motivational, talking about success mindsets and financial freedom. The caption was inspirational. "Remember, your current situation isn't your final destination, keep grinding." But in the comments, someone asked about family support. Nathan's response was public, visible to all 38,000 followers. "Absolutely believe in helping family. My wife's dad is going through a tough time financially, but we make sure he has what he needs. Sometimes the older generation struggles with modern economics, but that's where we step up. It's about compassion and responsibility. Family first, grateful." That comment got 92 likes and 14 replies praising Nathan's generosity. Emily called me that night, embarrassed and furious. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I saw what Nathan wrote. That's not okay." "It's fine, sweetheart." "No, it's not fine. You're not struggling financially. You've been helping us. This is backwards." I could hear Nathan in the background defending himself, something about not meaning it that way, about people misunderstanding his post. "Emily," I said calmly, "don't worry about it. Nathan sees what he needs to see." But I wasn't worried, I was calculating. The final straw came on a Tuesday morning. I was having coffee on my trailer steps when Nathan called. "William, the first need to talk to you about something man-to-man." "Here we go. Emily and I have been talking, and we think it might be time to make some changes, financial changes." I sipped my coffee, said nothing. "Look, you've been incredibly generous with the credit card situation, but we're in a much better place now. We can handle our own expenses. The thing is, my friends in finance tell me that having multiple people on credit accounts can hurt your credit score. We wouldn't want that for you." Translation: Nathan wanted the card, but not the connection to me. "So here's what I'm thinking," Nathan continued. "What if I take over the account, transfer it to my name completely? That way you're not responsible for our spending anymore. We protect your credit and Emily, and I get the independence we need. Win-win." The audacity was breathtaking. Nathan wanted to take over a credit line that he thought belonged to a trailer park handyman. He genuinely believed he was doing me a favor. What's the credit limit on that card, Nathan? I think it's around 15 or 20,000, something like that. I nearly laughed out loud. In 18 months of using the card, Nathan had never looked at the actual limit, never questioned how a struggling trailer park resident had access to that kind of credit. I'll think about it, I told him. Actually, William, the first kind of need an answer soon. I'm planning something special for my birthday next month, and I want to make sure everything's sorted out by then. Nathan's birthday, the party he'd been planning for weeks, 30 guests at an upscale restaurant with Nathan playing the generous host. What kind of special? I asked. Just a little celebration, good food, good friends, nothing too crazy, but you know how it is, image matters in my business. Image, that was always Nathan's priority. Will this be the party where you roast me? I asked quietly. Long pause. What? I heard you talking to Emily about your birthday speech, something about keeping it light and funny, mentioning your charity work with struggling family members. Another pause. Nathan's voice got defensive. It's not like that, William, it's just, you know, gentle humor. People expect stories at these things. What kind of stories? Just, you know, funny family stuff, how we all support each other, nothing mean-spirited. But I'd heard him practicing. Nathan planned to roast the deadbeat father-in-law who lived in a trailer and needed help with basic expenses. The crowd would laugh, Nathan would look generous and successful, and I'd be the punchline. Nathan, I said, I think your birthday party is going to be very memorable. Right, I've got it all planned out. Emily's excited too. I doubted that. One more question, Nathan, in all this time, have you ever wondered how a handyman in a trailer park got approved for that credit card? Oh, you know how credit companies are these days, they'll give cards to anyone. Probably not the best financial decision on their part, but hey, it worked out for all of us. That was at the final piece of Nathan's character assessment. He genuinely believed that credit card companies randomly gave unlimited black metal cards to struggling retirees. It never occurred to him to ask questions, never occurred to him that appearances might be deceiving. Nathan saw what he wanted to see, and what he wanted to see was someone beneath him. Time to show him the view from down there. That night I sat in my trailer with 18 months of credit card statements spread across my small kitchen table, $49,236. That's what Nathan had spent on my American Express card. I'd kept every receipt, tracked every purchase, documented every transaction. Designer clothes, $9,400. Restaurant bills, $13,600. Weekend trips, $10,800. Car payments and insurance, $7,200. Electronics and gadgets, $4,100. The rest was scattered across smaller purchases, expensive cologne, luxury grooming services, gym memberships, premium gas for a car he couldn't actually afford. Every dollar spent while Nathan positioned himself as my financial superior. I opened my laptop and pulled up Nathan's Instagram. His most recent post showed him at a wine tasting in Napa. The caption read, "Celebrating another successful quarter, grateful for the opportunities that come with hard work and smart financial planning. Blessed wine life, success mindset." The wine tasting cost $750. I had the receipt. 51 people had liked the post. 14 comments praised Nathan's inspiring success story. I scrolled through months of posts. Nathan at expensive restaurants, Nathan shopping at high-end stores, Nathan posing with luxury items. Each post reinforced the narrative of a young man who'd earned his lifestyle through talent and determination. Not one mention of where the money actually came from. But the spending was just the surface level. What really mattered was the pattern of disrespect, the calculated humiliation, the assumption that I was too stupid or too poor to understand what was happening. Nathan had spent 18 months showing me exactly who he was when he thought he held all the power. Time to see who he was when that power disappeared. I reached for my phone and made the first call. American Express customer service, this is Maria, how can I help you? I need to cancel a supplementary card on my account. Of course, sir, can I get your account number? I read off the Centurion card number I'd memorized years ago. And the name on the card you'd like to cancel, Nathan Mitchell. I see that card here. May I ask the reason for the cancellation? I looked at the stack of receipts on my table. The authorized user is no longer authorized. I understand the cancellation will be effective immediately. Is there anything else I can help you with today? Actually, yes, I need to change the locks on a property I own. Could you recommend a good locksmith service? Maria laughed. Sir, I think you might have the wrong number for that sorry long day. But I wasn't sorry, I was just getting started. Next call, Sunrise Gardens Property Management. This is William Carter. I need the locks changed on Unit 2847. Of course, Mr. Carter, any particular reason? Security concerns. How quickly can you have it done? We can have a team there tomorrow morning. Should we coordinate with a tenant? No need, I'll handle the tenant communication. Understood. New keys will be ready by noon. Unit 2847 was Nathan's luxury condo, the one he'd been living in for 18 months, paying $3,800 a month in rent, the one he thought made him successful. He'd never asked who owned the building, never questioned how he'd gotten approved for such an expensive place with his salary. The building was part of Sunrise Gardens, a premium residential complex in Manhattan Beach, 48 units, 97% occupancy, purchased by Carter Development LLC in 2019. Nathan was about to learn who owned Carter Development LLC. Third call, Mercedes Financial Services. I need to report a payment issue on a lease account number. I read off Nathan's lease number from the insurance documents Emily had shown me. I see the account. What's the payment issue? The automatic payment method needs to be removed immediately. Credit card ending in 4738. I show that card on file. Are you the account holder? I'm the credit card holder. The card's been compromised. I understand. We'll remove that payment method today. The account holder will need to provide a new payment source within 72 hours to avoid late fees. Perfect. Nathan's G-Wagon lease was $580 a month, automatically charged to my card. Come Friday, that payment would bounce. I made 3 more calls. Nathan's car insurance, his gym membership, his monthly wine club subscription, all automatically charged to my card, all canceled effective immediately. By tomorrow evening, Nathan would start getting decline notices. By Thursday, he'd be getting phone calls about missed payments. By Friday, he'd realize that his entire lifestyle was built on something he'd never actually controlled. But I wasn't done yet. I pulled out a yellow legal pad and started writing. Nathan wanted to roast me at his birthday party. Perfect. I had some material for him, 18 months of material actually. Time to see how funny Nathan found poverty when it was his own. Nathan's first wake-up call came at Louis Vuitton on Thursday afternoon. I was pressure washing Mrs. Patterson's siding when my phone rang. Nathan's name flashed on the screen, and I let it ring 3 times before answering. William, what the hell did you do? I turned off the pressure washer. You'll have to be more specific. Your card got declined at Louis Vuitton for $3,400. I sat down on Mrs. Patterson's steps, phone pressed to my ear. Her cat, Mr. Whiskers, jumped up and settled on my lap. Declined. Yes, declined. Do you know how embarrassing that was? The salesgirl acted like I was some kind of fraud. What were you buying for $3,400? That's not the point. The point is your card doesn't work. I scratched Mr. Whiskers behind the ears. The cat purred contentedly. Nathan, you said you wanted to take over the credit account, transfer it to my name, remember? Silence on the other end. So I canceled your access. I continued, like you wanted independence, right? That's not. I didn't mean immediately, I meant after we worked out the details. What details? The transfer details, the financial arrangements. You can't just cut me off without warning. But I had warned him. 18 months of warnings, actually every disrespectful comment, every condescending joke, every Instagram post that painted me as a charity case. Nathan just hadn't been listening. I'm sure you'll figure it out, I said calmly. You're a successful entrepreneur after all. William, this isn't funny. I've got payments due, expenses coming up. You can't just. I hung up. Mrs. Patterson opened her trailer door. Everything all right, William? Just fine, Dorothy. Family stuff? She nodded knowingly. Family's complicated. More iced tea? That'd be great. Dorothy brought out a fresh glass and settled into her lawn chair. That boy giving you trouble again? Mrs. Patterson had met Nathan exactly once 6 months ago. He'd driven through the trailer park looking for me, windows up, air conditioning blasting, clearly disgusted by his surroundings. When Dorothy waved hello, Nathan had pretended not to see her. Nothing I can't handle, I told her. Good, that one's got mean eyes, I could tell right off. My phone buzzed. Text message from Nathan. Call me back, this is serious. I deleted the message. 20 minutes later, another call. William, look, maybe I came on a little strong before, but we need to talk about this card situation. I'm listening. I've got automatic payments set up on that card, car insurance, gym membership. If those bounce, it's going to mess up my credit. Sounds like a problem. My problem, William, you gave me that card, you told me to use it for emergencies, car repairs, medical bills. You remember, this is an emergency. A Louis Vuitton purchase is an emergency. Nathan's voice got tight. That's not the point. The point is you can't just change the rules without notice. What rules? The arrangement, our agreement. We never had an agreement, Nathan. I gave you access to my credit card as a favor. Favors can be withdrawn. But I need that card. Why? Long pause. What do you mean, why? Why do you need my credit card? You make good money, you're successful, you should be able to handle your own expenses. It's not that simple. I've got cash flow issues right now. What kind of cash flow issues? Business investments, future planning. You wouldn't understand. There it was again, the assumption that I wouldn't understand business or finances. Try me, I said. Look, William, this isn't about understanding, this is about family, about supporting each other. Interesting perspective. Tell me, Nathan, what kind of support have you provided me? Silence. I mean, you've spent $49,000 on my credit card over 18 months. That's quite a bit of support I've provided you. What have you provided in return? Emily and I are grateful. Grateful enough to publicly call me a struggling family member who needs your charity. That's not what I meant. Grateful enough to joke about my living situation to your friends. William, you're taking this the wrong way. Grateful enough to offer me a part-time maintenance job at your company. Nathan went quiet. I saw your Instagram post, Nathan, the one where you told 38,000 people about helping your wife's financially struggling father. Very generous of you. I was trying to inspire people. With lies. They weren't lies. You do live in a trailer park. And that makes me a charity case. No, that's not. You're twisting my words. But I wasn't twisting anything. Nathan's words had been crystal clear for 18 months. Nathan, I want you to think very carefully about our relationship, about how you've treated me, how you've talked about me, how you've represented our family dynamic to the world. William. Then I want you to ask yourself, did you really think this could continue indefinitely? Another long pause. What's that supposed to mean? It means actions have consequences, disrespect has consequences. Are you threatening me? I laughed quietly. Nathan, I don't make threats, I just adjust circumstances. What does that mean? It means you should probably check your other automatic payments, car lease insurance, that kind of thing. I could hear Nathan's breathing change. You didn't. Didn't what? The car payment, my insurance. I removed my credit card from all your automatic payment accounts. You wanted independence, remember? William, you can't do this. I just did. This is crazy, this is insane, over some misunderstanding about social media posts. It's not about social media, Nathan, it's about respect, it's about character, it's about 18 months of you showing me exactly who you are. Who I am. I've been nothing but grateful. You've been nothing but condescending. Nathan's voice got louder. I've treated you like family. No, Nathan, you've treated me like a charity case. There's a difference. This is ridiculous. Emily's going to hear about this. I'm sure she will, and she's going to be furious. Maybe she's going to ask why her husband has been publicly humiliating her father for 18 months. Nathan hung up. I finished my iced tea and went back to pressure washing Dorothy's trailer. By tomorrow, Nathan would start getting the real bills. By Saturday, he'd understand exactly how much his lifestyle actually cost, and by Sunday at his birthday party he'd get to explain it to 30 of his closest friends. This was going to be educational for everyone involved. Friday evening, Nathan showed up at Sunny Vista Mobile Home Park in full rage mode. I was grilling burgers on my small propane barbecue when I heard the G-Wagon's engine. Nathan drove through the narrow park roads like he was being chased, gravel spitting from his tires. He parked at an angle blocking the communal mailbox and stormed toward my trailer. William, we need to talk. I flipped a burger. Evening, Nathan. Don't evening, Nathan. Me, my car payment bounced, my insurance got canceled, my gym membership suspended. Dorothy Patterson emerged from her trailer, attracted by the shouting. Two other neighbors, Frank and Maria from the end unit, came outside to see what was happening. Sounds expensive, I said calmly. Expensive? It's a disaster. Do you know what this does to my credit score? I imagine it's not good. Nathan stepped closer, his face red with anger. This is insane. You can't just destroy someone's financial life over some petty argument. Petty argument. Yes, some stupid misunderstanding about social media. I turned to face him fully. Nathan, what do you think has been happening here for the past 18 months? What do you mean? I mean, what did you think our relationship was? Explain it to me. Nathan glanced around, noticing our growing audience. Dorothy had settled into her lawn chair with a glass of sweet tea, clearly planning to stay for the show. We're family, Nathan said, lowering his voice slightly. I married your daughter. We help each other out. How have you helped me out? We support you emotionally. We include you in family events. You include me? Yes, we invite you to dinners, parties, holidays. Where you introduce me as your charity case. Nathan's face got redder. That's not what I do. Nathan! Dorothy called out from her chair. What did you just call William there? Nathan turned to look at her, confused. I'm sorry. You said you support him. Support him how? That's private family business. Doesn't sound private. Frank called out from his porch. Sounds like you're yelling about it pretty loud. Nathan looked around, realizing he was surrounded by trailer park residents who'd been watching this drama unfold. Look, this is between William and me. Actually, I said, I think it's important for everyone to understand the situation. Nathan here has been telling people that I'm struggling financially, that he and Emily have been helping me out. Helping you out how? Maria asked. Nathan shifted uncomfortably. With expenses, basic needs. Dorothy laughed out loud. Basic needs. William fixed my porch last month for free, painted Mrs. Rodriguez's fence, helped Frank move his furniture. What kind of struggling man has time for all that volunteer work? And Frank added, William's got the nicest maintained trailer in the park. That's not struggling, that's choosing. Nathan looked confused. Choosing. Choosing to live simply. I explained, choosing to be part of a community, choosing to help neighbors instead of spending money on designer clothes. But you, your car, your clothes, what about them? There. You look like what, Nathan? He couldn't say it, couldn't admit that he judged me entirely on appearance. Nathan, I said quietly, you've spent $49,000 of my money while telling everyone I needed your financial support. You've mocked my home, my clothes, my lifestyle. You've treated me like a burden while living off my credit. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Nathan opened his mouth, then closed it. Around us, the trailer park had gone quiet except for the distant sound of someone's television. You know what? Nathan finally said, fine, you want to cut me off, fine, I don't need your charity anyway. Good. I said, because you're not getting it anymore. Nathan stormed back to his G-Wagon, but before getting in he turned around. This isn't over, William. Emily's going to hear about this. Everyone's going to hear about this. I'm counting on it, I replied. Nathan drove off, gravel flying. Dorothy raised her sweet tea in a toast. About time that boy learned some manners. Frank nodded. Some people need to hit bottom before they look up. But Nathan hadn't hit bottom yet. He was about to. Nathan's social media offensive began Saturday morning. I was having coffee on my trailer steps when Emily called, her voice tight with worry. Dad, what's going on? Nathan's posting some really weird stuff about you. I opened Instagram on my phone and navigated to Nathan's account. His latest post was a long emotional caption over a black background with white text. Sometimes family disappoints you in ways you never expected. When someone you've been supporting financially suddenly cuts you off without warning, you realize who people really are. My wife's father has decided to withdraw his help during a difficult time in our lives, leaving us scrambling to cover expenses we thought were secure. It's heartbreaking to see how quickly family can turn on you when you need them most. Grateful for my real friends who show up consistently. Disappointed family struggles, keeping it real. Blessed. The post had been up for 2 hours and already had 112 likes and 27 comments. People were rallying around Nathan, offering support, expressing outrage at unnamed family members who'd abandoned him. Dad, this is crazy. He's making it sound like you were supporting them. In a way I was, but not the way he's describing. You weren't giving them charity. Nathan sees things differently. Emily was quiet for a moment. Dad, there's something else. Nathan's planning something for tomorrow night, his birthday party. Yeah, but it's not just a party anymore. He's been calling it a celebration of authentic relationships and telling people he's going to share some important truths about family dynamics. A celebration of authentic relationships. Nathan was planning to use his birthday party as a platform to publicly shame me. How many people are coming? Around 30, all his friends, some coworkers, a few influencer people he knows. Dad, I'm worried he's going to humiliate you. Let me ask you something, sweetheart. In the past 18 months, how has Nathan talked about me around his friends? Long pause. Not well. What kinds of things has he said? Just jokes about the trailer park, comments about your financial situation. He makes it sound like you're this sad old man who needs our help. And how did that make you feel? Awful. I've asked him to stop, but he says I'm being too sensitive. I looked around Sunny Vista Mobile Home Park. Mrs. Patterson was watering her flower garden. Frank was washing his truck. Maria was setting up a yard sale in her driveway. These were good people living good lives, and Nathan saw them as punchlines. Emily, what if I told you that Nathan's perspective on my financial situation might be a little incomplete? What do you mean? I mean, what if Nathan doesn't know everything about my circumstances? Another pause. Dad, what aren't you telling me? Nothing dishonest, but maybe it's time Nathan learned some things he hasn't been paying attention to. Emily was quiet for a long moment. Are you going to the party tomorrow? Nathan invited me. Well, no, he said it was better if you didn't come. He said it might be awkward given the current family tension. Thoughtful of him. But Dad, if he's planning to talk about you, then maybe I should be there to contribute to the conversation. After hanging up with Emily, I spent the afternoon preparing for Nathan's birthday celebration. First, I called Meridian on the pier, the upscale restaurant where Nathan had booked his party. This is William Carter. I need to speak with someone about a private party tomorrow night. Let me connect you with our events manager. Mr. Carter, how can I help you? I understand there's a birthday party booked for tomorrow evening. Nathan Mitchell. Yes, party of 37 o'clock reservation. I'd like to add myself to the guest list. Of course, any dietary restrictions? None, but I will need to make a brief presentation during the evening. Nothing elaborate, just a few words and some documents to share. Documents. Legal papers, property deeds, that sort of thing. Is there a projector available? We can set something up. Is this a surprise for the birthday boy? You could say that. Next, I called my attorney, David Walsh. David, I need you to attend a social gathering tomorrow night. Bring copies of all my property deeds, business and corporation papers, and the last 2 years of tax returns. William, what kind of social gathering requires legal documentation? The kind where someone needs to learn about making assumptions. Should I be worried about this? Not unless you're planning to publicly humiliate someone who's been financially supporting you for 18 months. David laughed. I'll bring the paperwork. Finally, I drove to FedEx office and printed 30 copies of Nathan's credit card statements, 18 months of purchases highlighted and organized by category: designer clothes, luxury, dining, entertainment, expenses, car payments. At the bottom of each statement, I added a simple note. Total expenses covered by William Carter, $49,236. Nathan wanted to talk about authentic relationships at his birthday party. Perfect. I had some authenticity to share. Sunday morning, I laid out 18 months of documentation across my trailer's kitchen table: bank statements, credit card bills, property deeds, business and corporation papers, tax returns, showing my actual income, photos of Nathan's Instagram posts claiming financial success, screenshots of comments where he described me as a struggling family member. The paper trail told a complete story. Nathan Mitchell had been living a lie funded by the man he publicly mocked. I organized everything into 3 folders. Folder 1, Nathan's expenses, every receipt, every credit card charge, every automatic payment. I'd covered $49,236 in total. I'd highlighted the most ridiculous purchases: $900 at Louis Vuitton, $750 for a single wine tasting, $400 for a haircut and styling session. Folder 2, Nathan's public statement, screenshots of Instagram posts, Facebook comments, text messages to friends that Emily had shared with me, all the times Nathan had positioned himself as successful while describing me as financially dependent. Folder 3, actual financial reality, my property ownership documents, business records, tax returns, bank statements, proof that Nathan had been using a multi-millionaire's credit card while calling him a charity case. The irony was perfect. Nathan had spent 18 months creating a public narrative about his success, and my struggles tonight that narrative would meet reality. My phone rang. Emily's name appeared on the screen. Dad, Nathan left for the restaurant early to set up. He's been weird all morning, really excited about his speech tonight. What kind of speech? He's calling it truth and gratitude. He says it's time to be honest about family dynamics and financial responsibility. Nathan was planning to roast me publicly in front of 30 people. He'd share stories about supporting his deadbeat father-in-law, probably embellishing the details for maximum humor. Emily, I need to ask you something directly. Do you want to know the truth about my financial situation? What do you mean? I mean, Nathan has some very specific ideas about my income, my assets, my capabilities. Do you share those ideas? Silence for a moment. Dad, I know Nathan sometimes says things that aren't fair, but I don't really know details about your finances. You've always been private about money. Would you like to know the details? Are you offering to tell me? I'm offering to show you tonight at Nathan's party. Dad, what are you planning? I'm planning to give Nathan exactly what he wants: truth and gratitude, complete honesty about family dynamics and financial responsibility. That sounds ominous. It sounds fair. After hanging up, I drove to Meridian on the pier for a pre-party conversation with the manager. Mr. Carter, we have everything set up for tonight: your presentation materials, the projector, even a microphone if you need one. Perfect. One more request. I'd like to handle the check for the entire party. The birthday party. Mr. Mitchell already provided a credit card for the evening. I'm sure he did, but that card is going to be declined when it is just run this one. I handed over my American Express Centurion, the same card Nathan had been using for 18 months. Should I mention this to Mr. Mitchell? No need, it'll be a surprise. The manager looked at the card, then at me. Sir, this is a significant bill. 30 people, full dinner service, wine pairings. We're talking about $4,200. That's fine, and you're sure about the other card being declined? Positive. At 5 o'clock I showered, shaved, and put on my best clothes, not designer clothes, not expensive clothes, but clean, well-maintained clothes that fit properly. Then I drove to Meridian on the pier in my 2004 Honda CR-V. Nathan's G-Wagon was already in the parking lot along with several other luxury cars. Through the restaurant's windows, I could see people gathering in the private dining room. Nathan was holding court, animated and confident, clearly enjoying being the center of attention. I sat in my car for a moment, watching Nathan gesture enthusiastically while his friends laughed and nodded. He looked successful, charismatic, completely in control of his environment. In about an hour that would change permanently. I gathered my 3 folders and walked into the restaurant. The hostess greeted me warmly. You must be Mr. Carter, right this way. As we approached the private dining room, I could hear Nathan's voice carrying over the conversation. So grateful for authentic people in my life, people who show up consistently, who support each other through challenges. Tonight's about celebrating those real relationships. I stepped into the doorway of the private dining room. Nathan was standing at the head of a long table, wine glass raised, 30 people hanging on his words. He saw me and stopped mid-sentence. William, what are you doing here? I smiled calmly and took an empty seat at the back of the room. Celebrating authentic relationships, I said quietly. Nathan's face went pale. The education was about to begin. Nathan stared at me for a full 5 seconds before recovering his composure. Well, look who decided to join us. His voice was too bright, too forced. Everyone, this is my father-in-law, William Carter. Polite waves and hellos from around the table. I recognized some faces from Nathan's Instagram posts, young professionals, well-dressed, successful-looking people who'd been fed a steady diet of stories about Nathan's generous support of his struggling in-laws. William lives in a mobile home park. Nathan continued, his voice carrying that familiar condescending tone. Keeps life simple, right, William? Very simple. I agreed. Nathan relaxed slightly, thinking he could control the narrative. Actually, this is perfect timing. I was just talking about authentic relationships and family support. He turned back to his audience. So as I was saying, sometimes being successful means helping people who aren't as fortunate. It's not always easy, but it's the right thing to do. Nods around the table. A few people glanced at me with sympathetic expressions. Nathan warmed to his theme. Take my father-in-law here. Williams had some financial challenges over the years, fixed income, you know how it is, but Emily and I believe in family. We've been helping out however we can. How have you been helping? I asked quietly. Nathan's smile flickered. Well, financially making sure you have what you need. Could you be more specific? The room went quiet. Nathan clearly hadn't expected me to participate in his roast. I mean, we've helped with expenses, credit cards, that kind of thing. Whose credit cards? Nathan's face started to redden. William, maybe we should talk about this later. I think your friends would find this interesting. You've been helping me with expenses using whose credit cards? The audience was watching this exchange like a tennis match, sensing tension, but not understanding the source. Look, the details don't matter. I think they do matter. I stood up and moved toward the front of the room. Nathan, you've been telling these good people about how you've been financially supporting me. I think they deserve to know exactly how generous you've been. Nathan tried to laugh it off. William, come on, let's not get into family finances at a party. Why not? You brought it up. I opened my first folder and pulled out a stack of papers. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to share some details about Nathan's generosity over the past 18 months. Nathan has indeed been very involved in financial support between our families. I handed out copies of the credit card statements to people around the table. These are the records of Nathan's financial assistance. People started reading, and confusion spread across their faces. Wait, said a woman in an expensive dress. These are charges to Nathan, not from Nathan. That's correct. I said, $49,236 in charges, all on my American Express card. Nathan's face went white. William, what are you doing? I'm being authentic. Isn't that what tonight is about? I moved to the projector the restaurant had set up. Let me show everyone some highlights of Nathan's generosity. The first slide showed Nathan's Instagram posts from the past year: luxury restaurants, designer shopping, expensive wine tastings. These are Nathan's social media posts about his successful lifestyle. Notice the dates and locations. The second slide showed corresponding credit card charges. And these are the receipts for those same dates and locations, all charged to my card. Gasps around the room. People started looking between Nathan and the documents. Nathan called out, "What is this?" Nathan was stammering. "It's not. This is taken out of context." "What context?" I asked calmly. "You've spent $49,000 on my credit card while publicly describing me as financially struggling. What context makes that appropriate?" I clicked to the next slide: screenshots of Nathan's social media comments about supporting struggling family members. This is Nathan's Instagram comment from last month, describing how he helps his wife's father who's going through a tough time financially. I read the comment aloud. Sometimes the older generation struggles with modern economics, but that's where we step up. It's about compassion and responsibility. The room was dead silent now. "Nathan," said a young woman, "you told us you were paying for his living expenses." That's not exactly what I said." "Yes, it is," said another guest. "You said you were supporting your deadbeat father-in-law." Nathan looked around the room desperately. "William, please, can we discuss this privately?" "I think we've been private long enough." I opened my second folder. These are property ownership documents. I thought your friends might be interested to know exactly who's been struggling financially. I handed out copies of property deeds. This is the deed to Sunrise Gardens Residential Complex, 48 luxury condos in Manhattan Beach. Nathan's face went from white to green. This is the deed to Pacific Coast Shopping Center, 12 retail stores in Hermosa Beach. I kept handing out documents. This is the deed to Meridian Restaurant Group, the company that owns this restaurant where we're having dinner tonight. The woman in the expensive dress looked up from the papers. "William Carter, you're William Carter." "That's right. The real estate developer. You own half the commercial property in the South Bay." "Not half, but a decent portion." Nathan was gripping the edge of the table. "William, stop. Nathan, your condo in Manhattan Beach, the one you pay $3,800 a month for, that's unit 2847 in Sunrise Gardens. I'm your landlord." Shocked murmurs around the room. "Your G-Wagon lease payment that was automatically charged to my credit card, the dealership where you bought that car, I own that too." Nathan sat down heavily in his chair. "Even this restaurant where you're hosting your birthday party, this bill you thought you were paying with your credit card, I'm actually paying for this dinner just like I've been paying for everything else." I opened my third folder. These are my tax returns for the last 2 years' net worth, approximately $41 million, not exactly struggling financially. The business suit man looked at Nathan in disgust. Dude, you've been lying to us for months. It wasn't lying. You told us you were supporting your poor father-in-law. It's more complicated than that. No, I said quietly. It's very simple. Nathan saw a man in work clothes living in a trailer park and decided I was poor. He never asked questions, never wondered how I qualified for a high-limit credit card, never wondered who owned the buildings he lived and worked in. I looked around the room. Nathan spent 18 months showing me exactly who he was. When he thought I had no power, he mocked my home, my clothes, my lifestyle. He treated me like a charity case. While spending my money, he publicly humiliated me while privately depending on me. Nathan stood up shakily. This is a setup. No, Nathan, this was a character test. For 18 months, I gave you the opportunity to show respect, gratitude, basic human decency. Instead, you showed contempt. You tricked me. I gave you a credit card and lived modestly. You drew your own conclusions. The woman in the expensive dress looked at Nathan with disgust. You're despicable. This man has been supporting your entire lifestyle and you've been mocking him. Other guests were standing up, shaking their heads, clearly wanting to leave. Where are you going? Nathan called out as people headed for the door. Away from you, said the business suit man. This is sick, Nathan, sick and embarrassing. Within 10 minutes, half the guests had left. The remaining people were sitting in stunned silence. Nathan slumped in his chair. What do you want from me, William? Nothing anymore, Nathan. You've shown me everything I needed to see. Are you going to evict me? That depends. On what? On whether you can learn to treat people with respect instead of contempt, whether you can acknowledge that appearance doesn't determine worth, whether you can apologize for 18 months of humiliation. Nathan looked around the nearly empty room. His birthday party was over. His social circle was disgusted. His lies were exposed. I'm sorry, he whispered. I know you are. I said quietly. The question is, are you sorry for what you did or just sorry you got caught? Nathan didn't answer. I gathered my folders and walked toward the door. Happy birthday, Nathan. Behind me, I heard him start to cry. Monday morning, Nathan's Instagram account disappeared. By Tuesday, his G-Wagon had been repossessed. The lease payment bounced when my credit card was declined, and Nathan couldn't cover the $800 late fee plus the monthly payment. Wednesday, Nathan moved out of his Manhattan Beach condo without my credit card backing his rental application. His income alone wasn't sufficient for the $3,800 rent. He found a studio apartment in Torrance for $950 a month. Thursday, Emily filed for separation. Dad, she told me over coffee at my trailer. I can't stay married to someone who would treat you like that. The lies, the disrespect, the financial manipulation. I never knew how bad it was. I'm sorry about your marriage, sweetheart. Don't be better to know who someone really is before we had kids. Friday, Nathan called me one last time. William, the first need to know, how long were you planning this? Planning what? The humiliation, the exposure. Nathan, I wasn't planning anything. I was just watching and learning. Learning what? Learning who you were when you thought you had power over someone else. Long pause. And who am I? You're someone who mistakes kindness for weakness, generosity for stupidity, humility for poverty. What if I wanted to change? That's up to you, Nathan. Character isn't something you can buy with a credit card. 6 months later, I heard Nathan was working 2 jobs to cover his new living expenses. Emily had moved back in with me temporarily while sorting out the divorce. The trailer had never felt more like home. Mrs. Patterson knocked on my door one evening with fresh oatmeal raisin cookies and gossip. That boy of Emily's, she said, settling into my kitchen chair. I heard he's been telling people you're some kind of millionaire property developer, is that right? Yep. Talking about how he learned important lessons about judging people by appearance. I smiled. Sounds like he's been paying attention. You think he really learned something? Maybe time will tell. Dorothy bit into a cookie. You know what I think. What's that? I think some people need to lose everything before they can see anything clearly. She was probably right. Outside, the sunset painted the sky orange and pink over Sunny Vista Mobile Home Park. It was a good place to live, full of good people who understood that wealth isn't measured in designer clothes or luxury cars. Sometimes the most important lessons come from the humblest teachers. Nathan was learning that now, better late than never.